Our next speaker is Kaylee Fry, and there's her title there, Bringing Community Back into Community Gardens, working with children, Family Resource Center at Emma to revitalize their communal space. Her faculty advisor was Professor Karen Peterson in sociology, and she had a couple of other community advisors, Norma Brown and Jody Ford.
How are y'all doing today? It's so good to see you. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Kaylee Fry. I'm a Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies student at UNC Asheville. And this was a project, a part of my Community Engagement Scholar designation. And so I've been working in this community for 2 years now. And what I'm doing is I'm using this process and this project as an example of a sustainable community engagement project that students can do in our communities. So a little bit about Children First. They're a really amazing nonprofit that I've been had the pleasure of working with. We have 2 representatives here today that I'm very excited to see. They really work with different minority communities and different people at risk and poverty. They have a really great centers that are in multiple low-income neighborhoods. Their mission is, Children's First mission is to empower children and their families to reach their full potential through advocacy, education, and services. The mission of communities and schools is to surround students with a community of support, empowering them to stay in school and achieve in life. And they really do that. The people at the Resource Center really work with each person on an individual basis, and it's something to be achieved by all nonprofits, I believe. They've just been amazing to work with. So the Family Resource Center at Emma, you can see here, this is the entrance to the garden. It's a really beautiful space, communal space. And if you look up to the left, you can't really, well, in my mind, I can see it. But up in the left is, it's a mobile home, and that's really the main center of community space in the Emma community. The Emma community is an immigrant community, which is mainly made of Hispanic and Latino and Eastern European people, immigrants, and the Resource Center is really a space for the community to come together. The community does not have any libraries or any major community centers that you would see in other communities, so the Resource Center provides amazing services to this community. Our garden, this is the fruits of our labor last year. It was really exciting, just a small portion. These are our peppers. It's been amazing to work in the community garden. As I mentioned earlier, it is an immigrant community, but it is also in a food desert. So that is the main point of the community garden. It was established 10 years ago through a grant, and I've been working in it about 1.5 years now. As you can see here, the United States Department of Agriculture shows that it is in a food desert because it's in a low-income neighborhood and it has low access, meaning that within half of a mile it's hard to get to fresh fruits and vegetables. So it is a lived reality of these people that they have to sometimes spend all day on the bus and the transportation system just to get fresh food. So you can see, here, this is just one layer in this atlas, but when you activate all of them, you can see that all of this right here. This whole community is affected by multiple different impacts on their community. They have low access, but also low vehicle access. So the problem, so I've been working with this center for about 1.5 years now. And when I first came onto the project, it was mainly just me working in the garden and having fun and being a great volunteer. But I soon learned that one of the problems facing the garden was that there was low community involvement. And so this is kind of problematic for a community garden to have low immediate community support. So the real support that came for the community garden was from the Asheville wider community. So we'd have businesses come and work in the garden, as you can see here, till the land and really help with the upkeep, but there wasn't a lot of support from the community, and this has waned off in the 10 years that it's been established. So when I first started, I was bringing Asheville students to the garden, really working in the garden, having a lot of fun. But then we realized that we really needed to address the situation that the Emma community was not involved. And so this was an example of the community coming to me, and I did not propose my own agenda onto the community. I think this is really strong and important to this project that I did not bring my own agenda into this. I worked with the community side by side, and we really worked on this together to create something that I was really proud of. So the survey team, the amazing people at the Resource Center brought together a group of students. So I'm from UNC Asheville. We have an AB Tech student, another UNC Asheville student, and then some community members, a mom and daughter group. And we all came together with the support and advising of the people at the Resource Center to really come together and do something about the lack of community engagement. So the survey was created, and we all started working on it really right away. It was a lot of fun. And the process was pretty long. We had 3 different phases. The first phase was creation. The second was dissemination. We were going to put it in the schools. So the Resource Center is right beside the school. So we had access to the elementary school, the Emma Elementary School, to take these surveys and put them in the classroom and have this kind of contest between the classrooms to see who could turn in the most surveys, and then they'd get a prize, like a basket of books. That was the first one. The second dissemination was the Resource Center itself, and people would come and get resources from the Resource Center, like an emergency fund. They'd pay for their electricity bills and things like that, or just to pick up a bag of food. They have a food pantry there and also a clothing pantry, or a clothing closet. And then the third way we're getting it out was door to door, and this is an image of the process. I recruited a lot of UNC Asheville students from my different classes to be a part of this process so I could show them, kind of educate them about the community, which is in West Asheville, which a lot of people don't know about. So I brought a lot of students into the garden and into the survey team, and we had a lot of fun going through what was going on. But the purpose of this was really to engage UNC Asheville and the community, and to work within the community and really work towards this. We were very intentional about everything that we did. As you can see, there's these little yellow name tags. We had name tags that said that we were volunteers. When we would go door to door, we try to dress respectfully, not necessarily in suits, but kind of in, hey, you can talk to me, clothes. We also were very intentional about how we knocked on doors. Every process of this project was very thought out and planned. We didn't want to sound like the police because this is an immigrant community that is a real concern that we had when we were going to door. But it was a lot of fun, as you can see. And even the community members were very receptive to the whole process. This is a community member showing us his garden that he had on his property, and he actually picked some cilantro and gave it to us, which was very touching. And we talked to him pretty briefly because he spoke mainly in Spanish, and this is a difficulty that we faced in this project, that there is a language barrier. And so one thing that we tried to do is always have someone who spoke Spanish with us into the community, bring into the community, so then we could talk to them in their native language. In this instance, we did not have a Spanish-speaking person, and a lot of that story was lost, but we still were able to complete the survey. But it was definitely something to think about when working in an immigrant community. He also gave us these jars, which were really awesome. He pickled a bunch of beans from last year from his own garden, and he jarred 150 of those and gave us one of them. So this is the survey that we created. Every sentence was structured and worked on. We had more than 4 drafts, probably more than 6 drafts of this. But the intentionality of it is something that I wanted to touch on. The preliminary results showed that the community really did want the garden, that a lot of people did not know about it, but once they did know about it, they wanted to be engaged, and they wanted to work on the garden, and they wanted to help us, which I think was really powerful. Just not knowing that there was a garden, but then answering question 4, do you see the garden as a good use of community space? There was an overwhelming yes to that. Also, there were some really great initiatives or great suggestions that people suggested for re-engaging the community. Mainly, it was focused around events for children and events for mentally challenged youth. But community events were at the center of that, which is something that we definitely noted. Also, one thing that was interesting in doing this is that people saw the garden, but it saw that it was next to the Emma Elementary School and thought that it was just the Emma Elementary School garden. So that was something that we really had to do when we were going door to door, telling them that this was for the community. So this project was just a survey, but it was also more than that. It was an outreach effort to talk to the community and re-engage them and tell them that there were resources out there. So in addition to the survey, we also handed out information about the Resource Center and the services they could provide to the community. It was really powerful to go door to door, and so many people were very accepting and eager to take us into their home. We had multiple people take us into their home and really sit down and talk to us, and we talk about their kids and many other things, but it was really powerful to use this as a way of getting into the community. And I really would like to thank the Resource Center for that, because they were my gatekeepers into the community. I had to approach this from an outsider in, and so I realized that I was not in the community and I did not face the lived realities of their everyday lives. And so I used Norma Brown and Lisa and Jody as a gatekeeper to understand more about the community and how I could really reach them. And they really helped me with the survey and the questions. So sustainability. This is a question that many surveys and many work in the community focuses on, because it's important that the work does not just stop once you stop working on it. It's important that it continues and that we work to create a sustainable model. And that's something that my survey in this example is something that I'd like to highlight. So I wrote a 20-page paper on this. I'm just going to read you guys a little bit of that about sustainability. And I talk about Audrey Smith, which is, I just went to the Southeastern Women's Studies Association, and she gave an amazing talk, and I asked her a question about sustainability, and she responded with this. Sustainability, as Audrey Smith explains it in relation to a cooperative community project, is a collective job. Smith explains in her keynote speech that it's not up to one person to create and sustain a community project or initiative. It's up to everyone to work towards a new model of community engagement that benefits all parties mutually and will continue to benefit the community in the future. A new model of community engagement, Smith calls for, deviates from the traditional mission model that helps the outsider more than it does the community. Smith calls for an ongoing structure of accountability on behalf of organizers within and outside of the community. A reflexive lens and interpersonal lens are needed to evaluate and work on embracing the principles of accountability. The knowledge of and the process of this survey was very intentional every step of the way, but that whole process does not have to live within my own body. It has to be spread and it has to be nurtured. So it's up to me to share my experiences and hope that it will influence others, to encourage others to continue my work and to use this as a model to do their own initiatives in the community. It's up to the other members of the survey team to continue working alongside the community on this project and teach others about the important work that we're doing. It's up to the Family Resource Center and Emma to continue doing the amazing work they're doing by impacting the community and nurturing new leaders. And it's also up to UNC Asheville to continue to be invested in the community and really work with community members, because I think that is really strong and has completely helped me in my entire education. Working with this community has let me apply everything that I've learned in UNC Asheville. So I'm a critical thinker, and I'm a feminist because of my women's gender and sexuality studies background, but I wear a bra, it's okay. But everything that I've learned at UNC Asheville has just been amazing and really helped me every step of the way of this process. My professors have been really supportive, the community center has been really supportive, and so it's up to all of us to help sustain this project. So in conclusion, I would like to use my example of a sustainable project that I will continue even after my undergraduate career is over. So this process as a new model on the pillars of respect, collective accountability, sustainability, and cooperative support. Thank you.
Questions for Kaylee?
Thank you.
I was wondering how the follow-up and what you're going to do in the spring and in the summer as the crops are coming in and you're giving away food. Is there a way to tie what you get to what you've given in terms of work, of what you've given to the community garden?
Yes, definitely. So I will continue to work in the garden and the project. What the project is really showing is that the community is interested, but they just don't know how to get involved. And so we've taken down names and phone numbers so we can call them and engage them, and then call them when the crops are ready, and call them and let them help us pick the harvest. But in addition to that, help them with any services they need. And then we're also going to make a very large sign that says everyone is welcome and that it is a community garden and a community space. So then people can see that and not think that we're just a part of the school, which was one of the major problems that we encountered.
There was another question?
It was very, very similar to that in terms of how do you engage the community going forward? Because they obviously all wanted it, but none of them were doing anything and none of them had received anything from it. So tying it all together, and that's obviously what.
Right, and I think that establishing relationships with each person on a personal level is very important in that. I've been a community leader in Asheville at UNC Asheville ever since I've started, and I've realized that building those personal relationships is the key component to activating people and to encouraging them to be great leaders and to do good work. So just going door to door and saying, "Hi, my name is Kaylee," I can use that and use the gatekeepers in the community to re-engage them and work with them on a personal level. So that's my goal going forward.
Did the community identify barriers? I imagine transportation, childcare, time, and can you start working on those?
Yes, one major barrier that I would like to bring up that we can't address, unfortunately, is accessibility. A lot of the people that we talk to, the older members, over 40, they would love to, their heart is in the garden, but they physically can't. So this is a reality that they live that I wish that I could do more. But we're establishing maybe carpools, different things that can help get people to the garden. And we also suggested that even just showing up and playing music, showing support, babysitting kids, possibly if you know them. We're not encouraging that if you don't know anyone, but bringing your kids out too. It's we suggested many different ways of being engaged that's different than just working in the garden.
I just want to, we have some information on Children First if anyone's interested. There's packets that will be wherever Kaylee is, so follow her.
And a shameless plug, tomorrow we have a fundraising event. My community work does not end with the survey. I'm still in my community and trying to support them in the Resource Center. So if you're interested, just let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.